Imagine walking into the United Nations General Assembly and seeing Donald Trump take the stage. Cameras are rolling, leaders from around the world are watching, and the air is thick with anticipation. Trump has always had a complicated relationship with the UN, part fascination, part frustration. On stage, he launched into a blistering critique, calling the UN a globalist body that wastes American money and metals where it shouldn't. He slammed climate policies, mocked migration programs, and challenged leaders to wake up and put their own countries first. The crowd murmured, journalists scribbled, and headlines were born. But here's the twist. After the speech, Trump quietly told Secretary General Antonio Guterres that America was behind the UN 100%. Outwardly combative, inwardly strategic, this is Trump's paradox with the world body. Almost immediately, the drama escalated. Trump's entry was marked by what he called triple sabotage. The escalator broke, the teleprompter failed, and the sound system went haywire. He claimed it was deliberate. The UN, however, traced the escalator issue to a videographer accidentally triggering a safety mechanism, and the teleprompter was actually managed by Trump's own team. The media had a field day. Reuters called it a spectacle, AP fact-checked it, and social media exploded with memes. But beyond the humor, the incident became symbolic. Trump sees the UN as a hostile arena, while the UN sees Trump as a storm it must endure. Fact-checkers and journalists have been busy dissecting his claims. On June 20th, the New York Times highlighted how Trump frames the UN as a corrupt institution to energize his base, while the Washington Post on September 22 emphasized that his attacks on climate and green energy were less about the UN and more about positioning himself as the protector against green scams. By September 25, Reuters reported that, despite his public criticism, U.S. diplomats were quietly reassuring UN officials that America's role remained vital. The pattern is clear: fiery public rhetoric, careful private diplomacy. But it's not just words. Money plays a huge role in this relationship. The U.S. contributes roughly a quarter of the UN's core budget and over a quarter of peacekeeping costs. Trump has repeatedly used this leverage, threatening to withhold funds unless reforms align with his priorities. Analysts warn that if funding continues to be conditional, other powers like China could fill the gaps, reshaping influence in global institutions. That makes Trump's tough talk more than theater. It's part of a long-term strategy to assert leverage over an organization he both needs and critiques. Even during this tension, Trump knows how to dominate headlines. Every technical glitch, every dramatic pause, and every sharp line in his speech was amplified by media outlets. Whether it was the broken escalator, the faltering teleprompter, or his critique of European leaders' climate policies, the drama ensured global attention. AP, PolitiFact, NBC, and even European outlets dissected his words, correcting exaggerations but still replaying the spectacle. Trump's skill is turning potential setbacks into narrative power. There's also a human element. Behind the headlines, Trump reassures world leaders privately, acknowledging the UN's role in peacekeeping, diplomacy, and crisis management. That balance between public antagonism and private support underscores his approach: challenge the institution to assert dominance, but don't dismantle it entirely. He knows that some level of cooperation is unavoidable because the UN provides legitimacy and a platform no national leader can ignore. His rhetoric also has ripple effects beyond the US. On September 26, Reuters reported European anxiety over Trump's attacks on shared global commitments, particularly regarding climate and migration. Allies see a US president openly questioning the UN's relevance and authority as destabilizing, yet they also understand that Washington's money and influence remain central to keeping multilateral agreements afloat. Trump's speeches aren't just about the UN, they're a negotiation, played out in public. Trump's relationship with the UN isn't purely strategic or purely performative. It's a mix of rivalry, spectacle, and practical necessity. He wants to be seen as the leader who stands up to global elites, energizing his base and defining American sovereignty. At the same time, he relies on the UN structure to project global power and influence crises he cares about. The tension between attack and reliance defines his unique position in world politics. And then there's the lesson in spectacle. The broken escalator, failed teleprompter, and media frenzy are not just side stories, they're part of the larger narrative Trump is building, that he is under siege by global forces even as he dominates the conversation. It's theater, strategy, and politics all rolled into one. The UN stage becomes both a battleground and a megaphone. In the end, Trump and the UN are like a high-stakes relationship in public view, dramatic, tense, and full of contradictions. He criticizes, He threatens, he performs, but he can't walk away. The UN depends on US engagement just as much as he depends on the platform it provides. It's messy, theatrical, and endlessly watchable, exactly the story the world tunes in to follow. If you want more in-depth analysis like this, breaking down global politics, drama, and the personalities shaping the world, hit that subscribe button and join the conversation. Trust me, you won't want to miss the next episode.